We're here today on status hearings in both cases. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Michaela Curtsey is my permanency specialist. We're present and ready, Your Honor.
Your Honor, Savannah Kincaid. I represent Ms. Pineda, the mother of the children, in both suits. I have reached out to her repeatedly. I have not had contact with her.
Lorraine Lucero on behalf of Mr. Richardson, Your Honor, father of Lazarius. I do not know if he'll be present today, but I'm ready to proceed.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids, here and ready.
Janelle Garrett with CASA.
All right. I don't have any of the parents logged in under their names. Okay. So I don't have anybody else in the waiting room that could even possibly be any of the parents. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get an update on where we are with service plans. Ms. Kirksey.
Good morning, Your Honor. As far as the family plans of service for Anna Pineda, we have it in. She signed. Everything's good with that. Parenting, domestic violence classes, psychosocial, individual counseling, OSAR assessments, drug screening, along with alcohol screening, since our concern's more on the alcohol side. And then remaining employed, have housing and transportation. She has began counseling sessions, and I've confirmed that with the counselor. She also set up an OSAR assessment. She set up 2 different OSAR assessments and no-called, no-showed both of them. So if she cancels another one, she's going to have to go to a different place to be able to get that done. I want to say the nearest one's Lubbock. She is working. She's provided me pay stubs. She is struggling with rent right now. She's behind a month. She said that she got sick, couldn't work a week, and she just hasn't been able to make her rent payment. So she does have weekly visits set up with Lazarius, and both Annalisa and Alyssa are very, very adamant that they do not want to have visitation or contact. Every time that I speak to them, I kind of follow up with them on it, and I'm trying to encourage them about maybe opening up to therapeutic visits in the future. I've asked Anna maybe if she could write a letter to her daughters, kind of clearing the air with them. Maybe it would change their mind. So that's where we are with Anna. Taurus Richardson, he's the father of Lazarius. He has not had contact, or well, he's had phone contact with me, but no face-to-face contacts. He's not provided me a home address. He says that he's homeless right now. So I haven't been able to go out to any residents and get any kind of attempts. I think we're on visit number 8, scheduled with the office, that he hasn't come in. No called, no show to all of them, message the day after type of thing. He did go to his drug screening last month and had a UA that was negative. And then his visits are going to start up with Lazarius after 12/7. He's being asked to complete parenting, BIP courses, a psychological, individual counseling, OSAR assessment, drug screening, and then have reliable transportation, gainful employment, and reliable housing as well. So no progress on any of those. I was unable to get his signature due to him canceling or no showing to his visits for his family plan. Neil Solis is the father of Annalisa and Alyssa. He is currently incarcerated, expected to be incarcerated for the remainder of the case, but we do have a family plan of service that I sent him. I haven't received it back in the mail yet, but we're asking him to complete parenting classes, remain in contact with the department, complete any courses that are applicable to his family plan while incarcerated, and then for the children to be returned for him to have housing, reliable transportation, and employment. He is allowed to write letters to Annalisa and Alyssa, but I have not gotten any letters from him yet. He does stay in close contact with me with his other case, so I don't expect that to be an issue moving forward. But I think that those are all of the updates I have, unless you would like to be updated on the children.
Is there anything new that wasn't in your court report about the kiddos?
I do not believe so. I think the only thing that might be new is that we do have the home study submitted that you court ordered at the previous hearing for the paternal grandparents of Lazarius. We haven't got it back, but it has been submitted.
In your honor, I don't think it's come through on filing yet. We did get Mr. Richardson served on this 12/7.
Time 12/7.
Yes, ma'am.
Personal service.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Kincaid, anything to report?
No, Your Honor, if I could ask her just a couple of questions.
Absolutely, you bet.
Okay. Thank you. Michaela, has Anna stayed in contact with you?
Yes, ma'am, she has.
Okay, and is it the same phone number she had at the beginning of the case?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Okay. Has she indicated to you a willingness to work her services?
Yes, she has.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass one.
All right, and Ms. Lucero?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. As far as Mr. Richardson, you had stated that he had no called, no showed his visits, but then you stated that he couldn't have visits till after the protective order was lifted on 12/7. So is it that he's missed his visits or he could not visit? I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, and I apologize. The visits that he no called and no showed were visits, I should say appointments that he set up with me personally to review his family plan at the St. Francis office. The visits that were not allowed to be set up until 12/7 were parent-child visits. So I will reference as appointments with myself were no called, no shows. The visits with the children aren't allowed, or with Lazarius weren't allowed until after the 7th due to the protective order.
Okay. And now, will y'all be setting up visits for him now? I mean, if he reaches out to you and get so set up?
Yes, ma'am. I believe he's been in contact with Chase Harrison, who sets them up for the department.
And have you been in contact? I know you haven't had face-to-face visits with you, but has he advised you that he's supposed to be starting a job next Monday, the 18th at JBS, or has he advised you of that?
He has not advised me of that.
And as far as his well, y'all are asking for him to do the BIP program, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is that to do with any pending criminal case that he might have?
That's not necessarily dependent on any criminal case, but it is due to the domestic violence reported by the children.
And are y'all, is the department aware, or St. Francis aware that there are no pending domestic violence charges against Mr. Richardson?
Yes, ma'am. I believe Anna failed to report them, or she did not want to press charges whenever the officer spoke to her.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, just a report on the kids.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Kirksey?
Your Honor, I don't have any questions, but there's some issues I'd like to address with the court.
Sure.
Okay, as far as I wanted to update the court that I have been in contact with Mr. Richardson. He advised me he hadn't had face-to-face visits with the permanency specialist because right now he's couch surfing with friends. He doesn't have funds to rent his own apartment, anything like that. But he advised that he's supposed to start working on it, JBS on the 18th. And so he needs to, get money and start working and get a place. And he says he wants to work his services, but he needs to get a job and get a place. So that's kind of where he's at. I did tell him to make sure that he's reaching out to his worker. I do have concerns about his requirement for the BIP course, Your Honor. He doesn't have any domestic violence charges pending, and to successfully complete that program, there are certain statements that he has to agree with. So I'm concerned about that, and I would ask the court to hold off on ordering the BIP course. And that's really all I have to share at this time.
Okay, wasn't he arrested for assault causing bodily injury?
He was arrested, Your Honor, and I'll have to look back and see if those charges, like I said, they may have been no charges filed by mom in this case, but he was under protective order up until the 7th due to the arrest from the.
And Your Honor, I could add that, and we could all look it up, but right now he does have a misdemeanor charge pending for terroristic threat.
Was it related to this removal?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I know it was around the time of removal, but honestly, I don't want to tell the court one way or the other because I'm unsure. But I can check into that.
I'm trying to see what the date was on that, Your Honor.
Well, and I don't have it in front of me at the moment, but I thought that we had some fairly significant history. Well, it's clearly, I know with mother, there's been history of domestic violence with other partners, but I thought we had some history of domestic violence between Mr. Richardson and Ms. Pineda. Maybe no criminal charges, but maybe police call outs.
Yes.
That kind of thing, as I recall. Now, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong about that, but that's.
No, I believe that is correct, Your Honor. There'd been one earlier, I believe I want to say in August sometime there was one, and then there's the terroristic threat charge that came about in October was the date on it. Give me 1 second.
And we had
Yes, ma'am. I believe the terroristic threat charges from around the date of this incident, because I believe our removal was around October 7th or 8th. And this terroristic threat, the complaint alleges October 7th. So I believe it was from this incident, Your Honor.
And then we had some pretty clear outcries from the girls.
Oh, very clear. Like almost like nothing I've ever heard before. Clear. I'm going to leave it in, Ms. Lucero. I mean, I think, I think this was a very bad situation, and probably we have no idea how maybe bad it was or escalated, but it prompted these children to do something pretty extreme, and which would indicate to me that there was some real serious fear.
All right, Your Honor.
So I'm going to leave it in play. Now, with respect to the visitation, since the protective order has been lifted, as long as it's supervised, then I'm okay if we initiate some sort of visitation with Lazarius, obviously. Wouldn't be appropriate with the girls. He is an alleged dad. Has he indicated anything to you, Ms. Lucero, about wanting genetic testing, or whether he believes he's the dad, or is that, in other words, is that an issue we can kind of get going on as well?
Your Honor, I will. I'll reach out to him about that again. And I'll let the department and Daniel know kind of where we're at on that.
Okay. All right. So, it'd be nice to know, and if we can get that dealt with one way or the other. If we need to get genetic testing ordered, then we'll get that, get that ball rolling, since it takes a while.
Thank you.
Okay.
And, Your Honor, real quick, Ms. Lucero, I'm not sure if you're aware, on the terroristic threat case, it looks like there is a bond condition. He can't be around mom.
Well, then I would ask the department that their visits, of course, be separate. Okay.
I just don't want him to get in trouble on that criminal case also for something like this. So.
I'll advise him of that. Thank you.
All right, then, Ms. Zavala, your recommendation today?
Yes, Your Honor. The kids are all doing great. A baby is here locally and is doing well. The girls are getting to see him on video, as well as their other siblings who are in a different case. These girls went on and on about everything exciting that's going on in their lives. I mean, they are just off the walls happy. I heard about multiplying and dividing integers and school dances and how you form sedimentary rock and fidget collections. And I mean, it was a great conversation. They are very adamant that they do not want contact with mom at this time. And have been very consistent with that. But they are doing extraordinarily well. And I recommend that placement continue.
All right, and Ms. Garrett for CASA.
Thank you, Your Honor. As Stacy said, the kids are doing the girls are doing fabulous. They want to stay where they're at. They even wrote Santa a letter and told Santa that they wanted to stay there. The baby is doing fine. CASA has not had any contact with mom or dad since this has started. Mom is working, but there's been not knowing what dad's going on. Mom is struggling to pay the rent. She did call CASA asking for help. She is on HUD, but CASA told her that she would send some resources, see what she can do for resources to get her some more help. So otherwise, but CASA recommends the children stay where they're at.
Okay, thank you. And just as a clarification for the record, Ms. Garrett, when you were saying father, you were referencing Father Richardson, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, this time then I find that there is a continuing and ongoing danger to the children to return them home to any of the parents at this point in time. And obviously it's impossible to return them to Mr. Solis since he's incarcerated. I find that the department is using reasonable efforts to try to reunify the family. Service plans have been developed, filed, and at least mother has signed hers. I'm not sure if I heard, did Mr. Richardson sign his plan?
No, Your Honor, he hasn't.
Okay. All right, that's what I thought I'd heard. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the children's placement. And our next hearing is April 11th of 2024 at 9 a.m. And I don't think I said it. I'm going to order the service plans as an order of the court. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
So, Grandma, on behalf
you,
of
Your
the
Honor.
Welch's adoptive parents, Matt and Amy, we are present and are ready.
Stacy's and Thomas.
After many discussions on this, we've agreed to work on a monitored return and a schedule. The schedule was filed this morning as far as the reunification plan. We're looking at working in a visit over Christmas break between the child and the Welches. And then in January 15th through the 18th, another in-home visit. February 16th through the 19th, another visit. And then all of those go well and Thomas keeps with progress, placing the child back in the home March 11th, which is beginning of spring break, is what we're kind of schedule we're looking on. We've had a lot of discussions as far as different services that can be offered to in-home once he's back. Some of those require us to have a date or either the child back in the home before we can start doing the referral processes on those. So we're looking, and some of them are kind of waitlisted till around February or March. But we're going to work on, now that we have a date, trying to get some referrals set up. We've also discussed the meetings with his counselor to make sure that these things are reinforced to keep working forward for what he is going, preparing for, which is being back in the home and to work on his behaviors and make sure his outbursts stay down. With this schedule and with kind of the unknown with Thomas, sometimes we are keeping it open that, if he comes back and forth and has some bad behaviors that come out, some of this plan may be adjusted as far as timelines, but that is the timeline that we are looking at right now. And we're discussing, there's been some discussion also on trying to move him back into region to be a little closer to where in-person visits can happen a little more frequently. We're exploring that, but we also don't want to move Thomas too many times with what some of the therapists notes and what we have seen, that sometimes the uncertainty bothers him. So we don't want to move him and then move him again. So we're going to try these home visits, see how they work. Hopefully he will understand and reinforce what is occurring and what we're working toward right now. And as long as we can keep those at a minimum, we'll keep him where he is till he moves back into the parents' home. If some of that changes and we have to alter that, we may be looking at moving him in region to where we can get some more frequent in-person visits and go ahead and get a therapist set up in this area that can work with the child and the parents during this time also.
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense to see. Let's see how this is going before we up and move. I mean, if it's a success, great. And if we hit some bumps, then we might need to look at, extending the time it takes. And then it might make more sense. But I kind of hate to see us jerk that rug out from under him right now.
Yes, ma'am.
And Judge Baker, can I add something? We talked about, and Daniel, I'm sure probably had this at the back of his mind, but Thomas had an EEG
Yes.
where the neuropsychologist recommended in August of 2023 that he have some genetic testing for possible fetal alcohol syndrome. That takes a little bit of time. They did that test in October. We don't have the results back. What Thomas is going to qualify for if he is diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome is significantly different than what he qualifies for right now. And so my request on behalf of my clients would be to maybe set this just for a brief 5-minute review hearing at the end of January so we can talk about when that diagnosis comes back, what he's going to be eligible for, because it might change the trajectory of the plan somewhat, given the fact that whenever you get a diagnosis like that, you can do different things. And I feel like Ms. Prater has worked really hard with what he's eligible for now. But I think that would, once we know that information, it's going to really probably help the situation, given if there are additional needs. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. When is that testing supposed to take place?
Well, they say they took place on October 3rd, I think she said. It's usually 60 to 90 days. So we're hoping at the 1st of January, we'll have the results back.
Okay.
I'd like to squeeze us, if we could squeeze in right after that January visit, we'd have 2 home visits pursuant to the monitored return at that point. So maybe after January 18th. And you've got your calendar. I don't know. You've probably got tons of stuff, but just to squeeze in quick 10-minute, just so that way we can let you know.
No, I don't have any problem with that. I'm just trying to clarify. So the genetic testing for the FAST has been done.
It's been done.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We're just waiting. Hopefully around January 1st to the 5th or so is kind of our 90-day deadline or 90-day mark where we're hoping to have the results by then.
Okay. And to respond to Rachel, Katie just sent that out. I can do the 23rd, January 23rd.
I'm here, so I'm good.
You're here. You're here all the time.
I'm here all the time, so I'm good with whatever.
Welch's, is that date okay with y'all? 123 for a follow-up, just a quickie?
She gave a thumbs up.
Yes,
okay.
that's fine.
That's fine.
And we've got an email chain going to Judge. So if anything changes, we'll update each other and we can let the court know if something changes.
The elephant in the room. We're up against our drop dead date. So are we doing this as a transitional monitored return.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes, ma'am. And that plan was filed this morning, Your Honor.
Okay. I heard reunification plan, but I wanted to be sure we were all talking about apples and apples.
Yes, ma'am. Monitor return. It's what was filed was the reunification plan as far as the schedule on what we're looking at. What we filed.
Right. All right. Okay, then.
And Judge, that would give us a new dismissal date of June 7th.
All right. So I don't think Ms. Grammer or Mr. Ms. Welch have any objection to this. I do want to hear Ms. Wallace.
My clients and I, we reviewed it. We've talked about it. We had a group meeting in the breakout room, and I think that we're just going to play it by ear and see how things go. Just Thomas is kind of a wild card sometimes. And so we're comfortable with this since it's a March deadline. That gives us 90 days to look at other options, get the diagnosis back, and see what resources are available for him. Whether it's at home or whether it's in a long-term placement, if that's what ends up needing to happen. We're just going to be hopeful that the former and not the latter happen.
All right, Ms. Wallace.
I do believe that the transitional monitored return is in Thomas's best interest. I believe the whole team will work together to make any adjustments to that if we need to, based on his reaction to the plan. But I do believe this is in his best interest.
Okay. All right, sounds like a good plan to me. I'm pleased that we're going to do this instead of just rushing into a final. And I mean, I know it's not been a rush, but you know, I think we give this a try. So I will order the transitional monitored return to parents. We'll set the new dismissal date of June 7th of 2024. And we will continue the department as temporary managing conservator. And obviously I'm going to continue his placement for now as we are transitioning. Order the home visits. And then I'll see everybody back on January 23rd of 2024 for review. And then just so if you want to get them on your calendar, we've got another review scheduled for April 9th of 2024. That's a 9 o'clock docket. And that bumps our final to June 4th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket.
Can't believe we're talking about June of 2024. It's blowing my mind.
Okay, then I appreciate y'all working on this, and I hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Some of you I may not see. If I don't, have a very Merry Christmas, safe holiday season.
Thank you, Judge.
And for those of you that will be with me next week, then I'll see you then.
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you everybody for helping with this. This has been a really big group that makes my heart happy that we can come with plans and do our best for everything for Thomas.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Just for anybody who's interested, I'll be back at 1:30.
I'll be with you.
Bye.
Anybody cares?
I thought I was getting off soon. I don't know.
I care, Judge. I care.
Me
Yeah,
too.
Back at 1:30. I'll just go ahead and leave the feed up.
Okay.
So everybody can stare at a blank screen on YouTube for a while.
You should have some kind of background Christmas music, lights going, something.
I'm sure it can be done, but I would not be the one that would know how to do that.
Not today.
Yeah. All right. I'll see y'all back here in a bit.
Okay.
Thanks.
Afternoon.
Well, now I got to chime in. Good afternoon.
We are here today on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Rachel Peoples is my premises specialist. We are present, ready, Your Honor.
Ryan Turman on behalf of respondent mother. I am present and ready. It does not appear that my client is. I would like to note for most of this case, I had no communication with her, no way to have communication with her. I did obtain an email a few weeks ago. We emailed back and forth a bit. She then provided me with a phone number. I have attempted to call that number with no success, and I have texted her on that number with no success.
TD Hammonds for the father. TD Hammonds for the father, Jesse Veach. We are present, ready to proceed, Judge.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Stephen.
We basically set this just to kind of see how things were going with Stephen at home. So let's just get a quick update.
Stephen had his first visit. Well, his first unsupervised visit was November 30th. And then there was a 4-hour unsupervised. And then on December 2nd, he had a 10-hour unsupervised. And then this weekend, he stayed with Dad. Over the weekend, he stayed on Saturday night and Sunday night. The bed for Stephen's room got in on Friday afternoon, evening. So I went to the apartment to make sure everything was all set up. He had his bed. The house was the apartment was appropriate. So he stayed with them the weekend. They had a good weekend together. I saw Stephen at school yesterday and asked him how it was with his dad, and he said it was really good with his dad. They played games, and Stephen said that he feels safe with Dad, and that he's ready to go live with them. We're planning on doing placement tonight. So.
All right. Is everybody hearing me okay? I'm seeing a lot of people that look like they're frozen on the screen.
I can hear you fine.
I'm good.
TD Hammonds can hear you fine, Judge.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if it was on my end or where. Okay. Well, it sounds like things are going well and according to plan. Okay. Mr. Turman, anything else to add?
Nothing beyond what I stated in my announcement, Judge.
And Mr. Hammonds?
No, I think we're on the right track, Judge.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I got to meet with Stephen the other day, and he's very excited about the possibility of going home to Dad. I did want to let Jesse know that once he's officially with you, I'll be visiting with him there, so we'll reach out. But Stephen's on board and excited, and it feels like this is the next step and in his best interest.
Okay. All right, Mr. Veach, everything going okay?
Yes, ma'am. I got to meet the other foster parent, Kyle, yesterday because he left his bag and stuff. So he had a ear infection, and we met with Kyle, and he was really great. He did not want to leave; he wanted to stay. But other than that, I think things are going great right now.
Okay.
I'm super excited to have him home. I know he's super excited to come home, and I think we're both ready. I've missed him so much, and I know he's missed me, and we're both excited to be back together.
Let me ask what may sound like a strange question, but are foster parents willing to keep in contact and continue to be kind of a point of contact or, be someone
Actually,
involved in Steve's life?
yes, Your Honor. I actually mentioned that to Kyle and Elliot. I want to say on the second. I love them. They are great people. I mean, just from the few times I've got to talk to them, Stephen is extremely safe and comfortable around them. And I want that a part of Stephen's life. And I told him, I was like, look, whenever like y'all want to come see him, just give me a heads up. If we're off, you please come on by, have dinner with us. Like I want them a part of Stephen's life.
Okay, well, I'm all in favor of those arrangements when they work out and it's productive and it's beneficial to the child. I mean, I understand they're may not be blood relatives, but he's always going to have a special relationship with those people. And the more people kids have in their lives that care about them and love them, and the better.
I completely agree with you, Your Honor.
So I appreciate you being open to that idea.
Of course. I mean, when he comes over, like he'll say like, oh yeah, me and Kyle or me and Elliot did this, and there's always a smile on his face. And as much as I would love to keep him all to myself right now, I just want him to be happy. That's my job as his dad, is I want him to be safe. And if he's not comfortable bringing something to my attention that's bothering him, I want him to have the access to be able to get it off of his chest and talk to someone he trusts. That's my whole job as being a parent, is helping him reach for his dreams and keeping good people in his life. That's
Okay,
my job.
I'm excited that it's going so well, and hopefully this will transition really smoothly. Assuming that it does, we'll remain involved for a little while just to make sure there's nothing that you don't need from us or that you all could benefit from us. And then when we know that there's, no further need for us to be involved, then we'll get out of your lives.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Judge. I also wanted to let you know that there have been a couple incidents at foster parents' house that we did call in an intake, but they were ruled out because an outcry wasn't made. It was just a few things, a couple inappropriate things that Stephen did, but I'm wanting to monitor that closely moving forward. So. Okay.
Well, I had read in the report that some of his behaviors had declined a little bit after some of the visits, somewhat to be expected. This is a big transition for a little guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, that comes back to why we stay involved for a little while, just to make sure things are going okay. So, okay, then I guess placement will take place tonight. So that's great. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue placement until it changes this evening, and approve that change. We're going to have, our final is set for April 2nd. So as long as things go well, we may be done way before that. But just so everybody can put it on your calendar, we are scheduled for April 2nd on a 9:00 docket. Okay, I sure appreciate everybody. Thank y'all.
Judge, would you hang around for a second?
Yeah, y'all have a good rest of your afternoon.
You too, Judge.
Okay.
All right, Jesse, good job. I'm real happy for you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, sir.
All right. You two enjoy each other. Enjoy the holidays.
I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Your Honor, I actually have a quick question, if you don't mind. If the case ends before April 2nd, do we still appear in court for April 2nd?
May not have
I'm
to.
unsure of how that works.
We'll have to. Are we going to need any other kind of final order in this, Mr. Trout? This is kind of a procedural question, Mr. Veach, but
I'll look at it as far as, I got to go back and look as far as any priors, orders and stuff on mom, and if we need to do anything there, but if not, no, I don't think we will. It may just revert back to those priors if that are. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
yeah, if we just
Jesse,
dismiss out Mr. Veach, it puts everything back in the position it was before we got involved. And
Okay.
I don't recall what your prior court order said, so that may need some adjustment. And if it does need adjustment, then we could do that either by an agreed order. But if we don't have mom's involvement in that, we may have to have a very short hearing. So, but Mr. Hammonds will let you know about all that.
Okay, because as far as I'm aware, there was really no like court order between me and Miss Rogers, so I wasn't sure exactly. Like I guess I got a little confused on will we go back to having a split custody 50-50, or would we be able to arrange something through April 2nd for me getting primary custody?
Yeah, I think that's an issue. Your attorney and probably Mr. Trout, they need to look at all that and talk about it.
Okay.
Well, Jesse, let me ask you this real quick. You mentioned there were no prior written orders, correct?
Yes, there was no. Yeah, we never went to court or anything. There was no written orders.
Yeah, Judge, I'll talk to Daniel about it, but my position is as long as Jesse is in a position to properly protect his son, I think the burden would be on Miss Rogers to initiate some sort of, written orders. So I don't know if Daniel wants to jump in the middle of that or not, but.
Well, we may, I mean, if there's no prior orders, I think it would be appropriate probably to have a suit affecting order put into place.
Okay, that maybe even just says he's the primary caretaker and visit by mom at his discretion or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll get together on it.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry for the random question. I wanted to ask before I let everybody go.
Nope, valid question. So.
All right, thank you guys, everybody. Have a Merry Christmas, and I will see y'all in April.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.